everybody, and a very warm welcome back to the latest episode of Hidden Jewels of Soul and Disco. I do hope you're doing absolutely fantastic. It's the last episode before Den Bosch. I'm a little excited. I can't wait. It was so great the last time. So maybe I see some of you at Den Bosch. I would love to meet up with some of you. So let me know in the comments below. And otherwise, I was asked to do a little more soul from the 60s. Of course, let's go ahead and do this, as this week we are featuring the Soul Sisters. Why the Soul Sisters, even with having very good sales on their singles, couldn't make a chart entry, and how this affected their career, well, we'll discuss this after some needle drops. Finding information about the Soul Sisters is quite difficult. Actually, there's only a handful of informations available. But I do hope that this episode might inspire you to check this group out. It's absolutely worth it. The first traces we've got of the Soul Sisters are from 1962, when they were part of a group which was called the Canjoes. And also in this group was great Lou Johnson. I did an episode about Lou Johnson, and if you find his 2 albums in the wild, go and grab them. Of course, if they are in your budget. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. But let's get back to the Soul Sisters. Well, the Soul Sisters are not actually sisters. It's Theresa Cleveland and Ann Gissendanner. And once they split up ways with Lou Johnson because the singles were under success, they might have, because from now on it gets a little mysterious up to that point when they're signed with Sue Records in late 1963. So that in this part there's a lot of assumptions because it's not really proven. But the chances are very high that they recorded some material for Guyden Records, and also later on as the Kolettes for Barbara Records, which was then later on distributed by Checker. But this is just an assumption. It's very highly possible that these were these 2 ladies, but it's not proven. In late 1963, they met up with Henry Juggy Murray. And he was the founder of Sue Records, and the label was founded in 1957. And the kind of slogan was the sound of soul. And they recorded a complete album, and here it is in all of its glory. If you find a record with a cover like this, grab it. If it's in your budget, go and grab it. So I Can't Stand It was the album that they worked on and released. And by early 1964, the first singles hit the market. And they did pretty well. But, and now comes the big but. In 1963, Billboard charts decided to kind of get rid of the soul charts, because like the soul charts and the pop charts were like almost the same, and so there were just the pop charts. And also at that time there was the British invasion, so these women, like many other artists, had to compete with the likes of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones on the pop charts. So you can imagine, even if you have good sales, you won't be seen on the charts, because your sales need to be very, very, very high to be even ranked on the last positions. So that didn't happen. That changed in 1965 when the soul charts had their comeback, leading up with the Temptations on #1. but that wasn't very helpful because the momentum of the Soul Sisters was gone. The last original recording known from the Soul Sisters is from 1968, and it was released on V, which was a sub-label of United Artists, and the single was called You Got Them Beat and 1,000 Mountains. Yeah, and that was pretty much it. From what I've read, and this is also speculation, is that these two women are still appearing today, but I couldn't find any picture, any information, anything to prove that the effect. I do hope that they are doing fine, and I do hope that they know that their music is very, very much cherished. In 1996, a CD release with some bonus tracks from single recordings next to the album was released on CD with the same cover art as the album. And what I also want to point out is that in the liner notes of the CD, you find information by Gene Reed. And Gene Reed was also the arranger on this album. He wrote the liner notes on the back of this album, and that's just absolutely fantastic. And yeah, here is the album. I haven't shown you this. This is the front. This is the back. And this is not the first pressing. It's a second pressing from a few months later after the first pressing. Here you see that Sue label. And this is an absolutely fantastic early 60s soul record. And the first time I've heard it, I was like, oh, this might be mid to late 60s because it has some great tunes on it. And I wouldn't have guessed that it was done so early in the 60s. A great beat. And my favorite track on this record is Foolish Dreamer. I love this song. But they also had The Right Time. I Can Stand It is great. Blueberry Hill. It's a great record. And it's not super expensive. So I've seen this record between 20 to 50 euro, also depending on the condition, but it's not a super rare record. You can find it. There are some reissues, like also stereo pressing later done, which has a black border and says stereo out of it, which was also done later on. But this is very much available on vinyl. And if you have the time, please check them out. And if you have additional information about the Soul Sisters, please let me know. Put it in the comments. Get in touch via Instagram. I would really love to know what happened with the Soul Sisters. So that was, like I said in the beginning, the last episode before Den Bosch. Yeah, we will see. I hope I'll find some great soul records, and Den Bosch is getting more and more difficult. But yeah, I can't wait for it. Anyway, stay safe. Listen to good music. Maybe the Soul Sisters. And I'll see you next time. Bye, and thanks for watching.